and the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday morning, and welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live right here on Giants.com, the Giants mobile app, the Giants YouTube channel. I am John Schmeelk. It's all brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. We're in the Hackensack Marina Hill Podcast Studio. Keep getting better. Joined by Paul Dottino, as always. And, Paul, I should have counted the number of days. I didn't do it, but now I'm regretting that I didn't. But 2.5-ish months since we've actually had a Victory Monday. Giants ending a 9-game losing streak.
Yeah.
So, about time. It's been a while. But always better to walk away with a win than to walk away with a loss, even against a team as bad as the Raiders, and they did not play well in that game on Sunday.
No, they did
and
not.
They're missing some of their best players, but the Giants did what they had to do. They went to another team's building against a team that they are certainly more talented than and were favored in the game, that they should have won, and they went in there, and they took care of business in a matter-of-fact way with good plays in all three phases to walk away with a win.
And, you know, we really haven't talked much about this because we've been so consumed with the fact that they had lost 9 in a row this season. We keep forgetting they hadn't won a road game since October 6th of last year in Seattle.
It's been a season and almost a season and a half.
And trust me, when you're on that team playing, you know that.
Yes.
So it was much better last night for sure. I think the one thing that I'm really pleased about with the game, and again, we do understand the level of competition that the Raiders put on the field. And it goes back to the last thing you just mentioned before you handed it off to me when you said all three phases. I tried very hard last night when I was reviewing the game in my head and I went through my notes, trying to figure out, you know what? Who really didn't have a good game? Offensive line played well.
Yep.
They ran the ball well. I think I only had one drop in the game from the receiving corps. Jackson Dart made really good decisions all game. You remember I said to Tiki on the postgame show, did he ever make you wince?
No. In fact, I'm not sure there was one contested catch the whole game.
Okay.
These guys were running so open all over the field.
No doubt. And quite honestly, we've seen our guys drop balls in those situations before.
That's true.
Okay. Kicking game was fine.
Ben
right?
Sauls did a really nice job, actually. He did.
I'm curious about him now.
Well,
really
we'll see what they do in the offseason at kicker, but I think he will be in the building regardless in the offseason.
Totally agree with you. The return game, well, got a touchdown, obviously. Coverage was good, right? Coverage was good. All right, defense, they got pressure on the quarterback. They got sacks. They got 2 takeaways. They did very well defending the run. They didn't give up more than, I think, 2 plays of more than 20 yards. Was it 2?
I think it was, actually, might have only been 1 that got over 20.
Was it 1?
It might have been 2 over 15. I'll check it right now.
Okay. So, honestly, what do you got?
2. Yeah.
Okay.
One for 26, the one to Tucker when he ran past the Debo. Oh, and then Genty, the 24-yard run. So it was 1 pass and 1 run of over 20 yards.
So if you just go over the checklist, unit by unit, factor by factor, and you say, okay, which of these things did not check a box? Which things did poorly? Folks, I'm not lying when I say to you, the Charger game, the Eagle game at home, this Giants game yesterday, obviously the Chargers and Eagles, much different opponents than what the Raiders put on the field yesterday. That's not to be even discussed because it's obvious. But those 3 games, you saw the Giants put complete, total, all-around, really strong efforts onto the field, and they got their just desserts and their rewards for it. And I think that's legit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Dart did exactly what he needed to in the game. I don't think there was one what I would consider a big-time throw in the game where he's put it into a tight spot down the field and, perfect rhythm and like you got zipped it right in there. But you didn't have to. The Raiders were playing zone for much of this game, which you talked about heading in. He did a great job taking what they gave him. His average at the target was only 6 yards. It was not a lot of downfield throws. The 2 that he made, one to Slayton and one to Wan'Dale Robinson on concepts that work against cover 3 where you carry the cornerback deep, and then you have either Slayton who happened to run an out from the slot on one, and Robinson ran a deep over on the other, where you run underneath that deep third of the field corner. The linebacker doesn't do a good job on either play of kind of following the crosser.
No doubt.
And we talked about those plays on the pregame show, too, where those could be open against Patrick Graham's defense and the Raiders linebackers just in coverage. I don't know what they were doing on half the plays. But he found the open players. I thought he did a better job of getting the ball out quickly. His average time to throw was still 2.9 seconds, but it was under 3, which for him is a good number.
It was quicker in the first half.
Correct.
Really, in the first quarter, he was zipping it right out.
And again, I think it was a really well-designed offensive approach by Mike Kafka, where you ran a lot of plays where guys were getting wide open, and there was a lot of easy plays available for Jackson Dart. To your point, I thought the Giants protected really well. Marcus Bowe had some trouble with Malcolm Kuntz on some speed rushes and stuff like that.
Couple of times.
He gave up a sack. He had another play where he blocked the wrong guy, and that was a free rusher to the quarterback. So I thought he was okay, not great, not bad, but I think given starting left tackle rookie, I think his performance was certainly good enough. You know, what this means moving forward in terms of what you're going to count on him for next year, I think that is that honestly, besides who's going to be the Giants head coach next year, as we stand right now, that to me is going to be, I think, our fiercest debate this offseason as to what to do with the Luminor and how much do you trust Bo to slide in. That's going to be, and I'm not sure there's a right answer, folks, because that's going to be a debate that we have, I think, for a lot of this offseason before you hit free agency.
Well, outside factors will determine that, John. How much money does Luminor get offered outside the building?
That's why it's such a conversation, right? If it's just, all right, well, do you want Jermaine Luminor back? The answer is yes.
Of course.
But the question is, at what price point do you get him back? And then is that price point worth not giving Bo an opportunity to tackle? So anyway, that's a longer conversation for a different day. But I thought Bo was good enough at left tackle. Wando Robinson obviously broke 1,000 yards, which is good to see. Good guy. Happy to see him do it. Again, a lot of just short stuff, beating those zones, but he did have that deep over route we talked about. Offensively, Tracy and Singletary, I thought, did a nice job. Not really anything else notable to me on the offensive side of the ball. That's kind of what jumped out at me the most.
No, I would agree with that. And I think I want to go back to a couple of weeks ago when you said to me, what do you want to see out of the final month of the season? Tell me some of the guys you're looking at.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen some of those guys, and it looks like they're checking boxes. Abdul Carter on defense.
Yep.
Darius Alexander on defense.
He had a couple plays, yep.
Okay. Bobby Okereke has had his best month of the season, I personally believe.
I think that's probably true.
He's gotten better. And
I just want to remind people, though, that you had 3 weeks ago a backup quarterback with the Commanders.
I know.
2 weeks ago, you had the Vikings down to their third-string quarterback for half.
I know.
And then you had the Raiders this week. So just keep in mind the competition for the defense the last 3 weeks as well.
And that's part of the problem when you're trying to project into next season.
Exactly right.
Because
it doesn't take away from the good performance, but it does make you think, how does this translate?
Is there a curve? That's the question.
Well, I think that's why I think...
Are you grading it on a curve?
This is why I think next week's important, right? Because you're playing a real offense next week. If the Cowboys play everybody next week, they are a legit top 5 offense. They are really, really good on that side of the ball. Really good.
Dangerous.
So if you can see this defense continue with this level of play against the better team, then I think we can have that conversation.
Yeah, I'd be on with that. So, I think one of the other things that I was really curious about yesterday, and I didn't talk to teammates about this, and I don't know if they showed it on television. You'll have to tell me if it was on the screen. But even Banks and I were talking about it after the game and on the way home. Tay Banks' teammates celebrated with him on that kickoff return for a touchdown as if he was one of their favorite players in the world.
Now, I will say that usually
they went nuts.
Usually
for him.
Kickoff returns for a touchdown get that sort of
They're
celebration.
big plays.
Yes.
They're big plays. But for a guy who has taken so much heat, justifiably so, for not playing up to his potential on defense, has been accused of being lazy, has been accused of being sloppy, as being accused of not grinding, the stone like he's supposed to, and all of those things have been evident over the course of the last 2 years. No one is disputing that. But he goes and does that yesterday, and not only on the field afterwards, after the play and on the bench, but in the locker room. And he got a game ball too.
He did.
Everybody on that team was super hyped for him. And I would only say this, and Carl and I talked about this. We were like, did you see that? That doesn't usually happen with a guy who hasn't lived up to his billing. It doesn't usually happen with a guy who is really underachieved.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, though.
I don't know what it means other than, is it possible that Tay Banks may have started to at least turn the corner and is going to start trying to be what he's supposed to be?
I
don't know.
I'm not there for that.
I don't know. He made some nice plays yesterday. I know there was a touchdown on the scramble drill that he didn't stick with the guy with, and I understand that was not a good play. But the rest of the game, even Carl and I were saying, this is probably the best corner he's played all season. Yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
And
who are the Raiders wide receivers again?
Not very good.
Yeah, I'm not willing to go there.
I'm not going there yet. What I'm simply saying is, let's turn the light on and take a look. That's what I'm saying. It may not mean much, but it could be the start of something good. I know it's the start of something good for Abdul Carter. That I can say for sure. That I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's played 4 good games in a row now.
No, yes. Abdul Carter has been a very good pass rusher.
To me, that's not a guess. That's a fact. He's played really well the last 4 weeks.
Yeah. And again, I think he's gotten some good matchups against some offensive linemen that are not very good. But I think, look, they've done a great job of getting him one-on-ones against guards and centers. Mm-hmm. This week, he did some damage against the Raiders' right tackle. Colton Miller didn't play in this game. Obviously, their left tackle, they've shut him down for the rest of the year. He hasn't played since September. But look, he definitely had his way. Storm Forsythe at left tackle, we know what he is. He was here in the offseason for the Giants. And DJ Glaze at right tackle, he's probably more of a guard when you really get down to it.
They're going to make him a guard next year.
So, nice job. Abdul Carter, I thought he started the season okay, even though he wasn't getting numbers. Mm-hmm. He was impacting the game. Then he went through a stretch in the middle of the year where the numbers still weren't there, but you weren't feeling the impact.
Agreed.
But in the last month, you're getting both now. You're getting numbers, you're getting impact. Even a nice play on that end around to Tucker, where he kind of read it and changed his direction in the middle of the play, made a nice play. Had a couple really good speed rushes to win on the outside. I'd still like to see him win with not just using speed and quickness, because that's where all his wins are coming from. He's got to get a little bit stronger, I think, still in the offseason.
Big offseason for him.
It's a big offseason.
Big offseason for him. But he's pointing in the right direction.
He is absolutely pointing in the right direction. And I think you see the type of explosiveness and bend impact the game the same way we saw it impacting practices over the summer. And this is what we saw over the summer from him. These are the types of plays and types of moves he were making.
We did.
And the type of production he had. It just wasn't showing up in games as consistently. And give Charlie Bolin credit for getting him in spots where he's able to get that sort of production. Mm-hmm. I think he's done a nice job setting him up over the last few weeks. But agreed, you have to be very happy with what he's given you and shown you heading into the offseason for what could be a really, really big year, too, for him.
Certainly could be. And one final thought. I don't know if you want to get to the calls right away.
Yeah,
but one final thought, and this is like the most obvious thing of all, but I asked Brian Burns after the game about how important it was for him to show the consistent high level of play that he has shown all season right down to the end.
Yeah, and he should have had 2.5 sacks, but Geno Smith just got that one away as he was wrapped up.
Did you think that was a good call? I thought he was in the grasp.
I think I could have went either way.
Okay,
if they would have called
enough.
him in the grasp, if you put me in a vacuum and say, what would you have called that in the grasp? I would have blown the play dead to protect the quarterback in that situation.
I thought so too. Right away, I was like, wow, they took that away from him. That's too bad. But he wound up with 1.5 anyway.
He did.
And the point is, and I did say this to him at his locker afterwards on the MSG show, and he answered exactly as I thought he would. It is extremely important for him to carry everything that he has shown this season right through to the end. He does not want to have any fall off or any drop off in any of these games right to the end.
Yeah, and both he and Dart both sounded very happy that they got a win in the post game. And I thought Dart's reaction, I think it was your second question to him. I know it's on video. I have not watched the video because I heard it post game on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Did his face light up as much as it sounded like he did when you said to him, I thought you protected yourself well today?
Yes. He was ecstatic.
He actually thanked you. If I'm not mistaken.
Twice. Twice.
I started laughing when I was listening to that with Tiki on the radio.
The truth of the matter is, and I go back to what I asked you here and Tiki yesterday, is there any point during the game where you winced for him?
No,
I did not.
No, he did a nice job. And they actually did reintroduce a lot of quarterback runs for him in this game.
They did. And most important, besides the non-turnover worthy throws or forcing a bad throw, most important, and John, I'm going to have to go back when I do my tape review.
What do you
Folks,
got?
I didn't do it overnight. Maybe you did already.
I did this morning.
How many times did he throw the ball away and make the right decision? I thought there were at least 3 or 4 throws last night where he saw it wasn't there and he just threw the ball away.
Yeah,
which is also a positive.
Or putting the ball maybe in a spot in the end zone where, all right, maybe it's not a quote-unquote throwaway, but it would have to be a spectacular play by the wide receiver and you put it away from the defender.
Keep it out of harm's way.
Correct.
He made some good decisions on those throws.
I would say about 3 times maybe over the course of the game.
To my point.
Yep. I'm with you on
And
that.
that to me,
He's always been pretty good about that, though.
But what I'm saying is when we grade him, and we look at all the checklists. Okay,
Sure.
What does the quarterback do? Where does he mature? Where does he progress? How is he getting better? Box. That's one of the boxes. He checked
Agreed.
it.
All right, so a couple ancillary issues I want to get to
Sure.
before we get to the calls here, 201-939-4510. I'm not sure if you saw this, but shortly before the show started, because there were some rumors about this, I should address them. Marcus Freeman redid his contract with Notre Dame, and he will be back there for 2026. So you can take those rumors
surprise.
and throw them away. I never took them all that seriously to begin with. I know some people were.
Right.
There was a lot of noise out there, so Freeman going back to Notre Dame, he'll be back there in 2026.
If
so you
I can
take those
piggyback
rumors and throw it away.
Off of that for a moment, Bo Collins, the Notre Dame receiver who was with the Giants this year, about 2 weeks ago, he was bombarded. Were you there the day he got crushed at his locker?
No, I was not.
Okay, he got crushed by about 12 to 15 reporters.
And you were leading the way?
No,
I'm kidding.
because I knew what they were doing. They went after him basically because one of the big shot insiders had mentioned Freeman to the Giants.
Yeah.
So, of course, he became the magnet in the locker room.
He was the Notre Dame representative.
Bingo.
Correct.
You know? And he was very, as a matter of fact, about it. He goes, look, they've got the resources to do whatever they need to do to keep him.
Oh, yeah. Notre Dame can pay him whatever they want. That is correct.
And they don't want him to leave. So think about it.
Yes.
They don't want him to leave. They've got the ability to keep him. They're going to find a way. They're going to keep him.
The second ancillary issue I want to touch on, and Tiki and I led with this yesterday just to kind of get the conversation out of the way. I'm sure we'll get a call about it today, so I want to touch on it before we get there. Obviously, the Giants losing this game, they no longer have the first overall pick in the NFL draft. Not surprising. We kind of told you this was going to happen over the past few weeks, especially with this game on the horizon and the way the Raiders handled their best players heading into the week. But it was actually a really important win for the Giants when Cleveland beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because if the Browns would have lost that game to the Steelers, the Giants would have the third overall pick right now. And you might say, well, second and third, John, what's the difference? Well, more likely than not, especially if Ty Simpson goes back to school, which I think he will.
Mm-hmm.
And if Dante Moore comes out, and we'll see how the college football playoffs go for him. If they go really well, he's probably going to come out. Tony Paulina said on draft season. Go check that out, by the way. Download it. Favorite podcast platform, John's YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. That if he gets guaranteed that he's going to be a top 5 pick, he's going to come out. Mm-hmm. If not, he'll go back to school. I think right now, given the number of teams that need quarterbacks, he's probably going to be a top 5 pick. So if I had to guess right now, again, we'll see what Oregon does against Texas Tech on New Year's Day. That game's coming in a couple of days. It will be a 2-quarterback draft. The next quarterback might not get selected until day 3 in this draft, after those top 2 guys. So even if you're not picking first and the Giants end up picking second, and we'll see what happens next week. Right now, there are 4 teams that have 3 losses, the Giants, Jets, Titans, and Cardinals. And who knows? The Giants could beat Dallas next week. Their defense is terrible. You never know how that goes. We don't know who Dallas is going to play yet. I'm assuming they're playing everyone. No. We don't know that. But the Giants do have the strength of schedule tiebreaker against all those teams. And it's they're .017 ahead of the Jets, which right now own the 3rd overall pick in this draft. So that could flop in the final week. Yes. But with so many division games, it might not. Just think about it. Everyone goes 500 in your division. So that's not going to change all that much. It's going to be purely dependent on the 3 games that are determined by record on both teams' schedules, not the division games that they play. So even like the Giants who played the AFC West this year,
Yes.
all those teams are going 2-2 this week.
Yes.
So the Giants, of the 6 games they play in the NFC East, the 4 games they play in the NFC North, and the 4 games they play in the AFC West, and the Jets are going to have those same 12 games, just different divisions, obviously. 14 games, sorry. They're all going to go 500 against each other because they're all playing each other. So basically you're going to have 3 teams that the Giants play and the Jets play that are going to determine their wins or losses, how that strength of schedule moves. Yeah. But if everything stays the way it is and the Giants pick second, and this is my long-winded point, I apologize, I'll get to it, you still basically control the draft.
Yeah.
Because the Raiders are going to pick first, they're going to pick a quarterback, and guess what? There's one quarterback left that other teams are going to want.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want him, they got to come up and they got to do business with you. So you can still get, now, might it not be the same load you would get with the top overall pick because it's not the choice of any quarterback in the draft? Sure. But there will still be competition, whether it's from the Jets, whether it's from the Arizona Cardinals, who seem to be out on Kyler Murray at this point, whether it's the Cleveland Browns. I don't think Shedeur Sanders has showed enough. And those would be the 3 teams, maybe the Miami Dolphins at 12, if you really want to get aggressive and find the quarterback, because they don't seem to be in with Tua long-term there. You know, those are 4 teams that potentially could be looking for a quarterback. And now it might only be moving down 1 spot, and you might only get a 2 and a 3 out of it, or 2 2s or something like that, because you're only moving 1 spot. But then again, in a draft that's very flat, and you don't have any elite players in this draft, Paul,
Right.
I'd be willing to get more and move down 7 or 8 spots. If the guy you're getting at 3 is not much different than the guy you're getting at 8 or 9,
Sure.
just move and get more guys.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So for Giant fans that are panicking that they don't have the top overall pick, you could still very well be in the position where you could be the team that people are calling, looking for a quarterback, depending on how next week goes. If Ty Simpson stays in school, which I think he will, if Dante Moore comes out, which I think right now I think he will, you could still be in very good position to get some extra assets out of that pick if the Giants end up picking 2nd overall.
Yeah.
That's it.
I totally agree with you, John. If you are so much more concentrated on draft slots and that's your end game of the way you described it, makes perfect sense. It's very logical. I do think the Oregon quarterback Moore is going to come out. I had somebody tell me the other day.
And by the way, he might get picked first. There might be teams
That's
that have
what I
more
was told. I was
ahead
just
of
about to
Mendoza.
get to.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
No,
apologize.
that's all right. I do think he's coming out. And somebody mentioned to me the other day, who's been in this game for a lot of decades, that don't be surprised if there are teams that actually like him better than Mendoza.
Paul, I'm going to go back to last year at this time, and I'm not going to make this whole draft conversation. At this time last year, who was supposed to be the top overall pick in the draft?
Sanders.
Correct.
How'd that go? 5th round?
Again, there's some weird stuff with that.
Yes.
The bottom line is that at this point last year, we did not know who, for sure, the top quarterback was going to be. I happen to like Cam Ward better. Other people were making other arguments at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Who knows? But the bottom line, if you're picking 2nd in a 2-quarterback draft, teams are still going to want to come up and trade with you to go get that 2nd quarterback.
Well, if you want to play mathematics, and I'm strictly giving you a hypothetical on mathematics, folks, okay, because I still believe that it's about who you pick, not where you pick. But having said that, the mathematics are simple. If it's a 2-quarterback draft and there are only 2 first-round QBs, the law of supply and demand dictates that if number 1 goes 1, law of supply and demand now raises the price of your guy at 2.
If you want the quarterback, you have to do business with the Giants if they're picking.
So
2nd.
now, under those circumstances, you may not get a whole lot less than you would have gotten at 1.
No, you might not. That's true. That's true.
Especially if the team that wants to come up and talk to you wants more.
It all depends how far you're willing to drop.
Well, you're going.
And
It's
figure
not
it out.
about willing to. No one's willing to. Oh, in terms of the trade.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
do you
Right.
want to make sure you stay in the top 5? And if you're only going to go from 2 to 3 or 2 to 4, you're going to get a lot less than if you're going from 2 to 10 or 2 to 12.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that'll be the decision. Anyway, we have 3 months to talk about that. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I thought I should at least cover it because I know a lot of people are talking about it, and I thought it was necessary. Don't freak out. You're still in a very good spot. Still in a very good spot.
Yeah, if that's your priority, you are.
Let's go to Brandon in New Jersey. He's going to lead us off today. Brandon, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Paul. Hey, John.
Hi.
I have one grievance that I don't really know even who to give the grievance to. It's reoccurring.
Well, we're
And then
here,
I have a
so
real football question.
complain to us. What do you got, Brandon?
All right. So, did the Giants win yesterday?
Yes.
I went online, man. I can't tell. Tell. It looked like they lost. It looked like we just did another. It was just another loss out of the last 2 months of losing. And my reoccurring grievance, Paul. Last year I called you and I talked about the ecosystem of a team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't necessarily agree with my breakdown, but there's an
I don't remember
ecosystem
the
to
call,
NFL.
but go ahead.
What's that?
I don't remember what your premise was, but if you want to remind me for a second before you go on, I'm glad to listen.
Quick. I'll make it quick. I just look at it as like a chart, and it's an ecosystem. So at the top is money. Then you got the ownership, you got your GM executive staff, you got your coaching training staff on the next tier under that. Under that, you got players.
Mm-hmm.
Under that, you have the media. Under that, you have fans. Fans generate money, and we're back at the top.
Okay.
Okay. The problem I called with last year, and I'm calling about right now again this year, is the buffer between the fans and the players, and that is the media. And I don't know if you guys know any fans, like a Taylor Swift fan, for example. I don't know how much you like look at a fan, but how often does fans want to hear something negative about their favorite whoever? Like, of anything.
I think it depends on the fan, Brandon, to be honest with you. Some fans just want to know the unfettered truth, positive or negative. There are other fans that seem to feed on negative stuff. I think that's a very small minority, but they're loud. And then I think you have the third group, which are the kind of, I'll use the expression as not meant to be a pejorative, but your Homer fan base that only want to hear the good stuff, and they want to close their ears and not hear anything negative. So I think there are different groups of fans that have different approaches to it.
I assume most fans kind of lean towards you don't really want to hear anything negative about your favorite thing. And when your favorite thing gives you plenty of negative stuff already, like, I don't need a daily whooping from the beat writers. And that's what it is at this point. They won yesterday. One of the beat writers decided, and flat said it, I'm not even going to cover this game. I'm just going to list all of the worst Giants teams ever. What?
I saw that. I saw that.
I can't keep taking this. It's killing me. I'm a fan. We generate money. We want to be excited. They are hurting the product.
No, well, Brandon, here's the thing. Brandon, here's the thing. People in the media get their money by people clicking on their articles and reading them, right? By people, they get views. That's what people are trying to do. The same thing we're doing here. We want people to listen to our content. That's what we do. We're successful when people consume our content. So if there are some people out there that you don't like what they're doing, just don't click on it and don't read it.
Right.
That, as a fan, that's your choice. That's your job. If you don't like what they're writing and how they're approaching things, you can ignore them. I'm not saying what they're doing is right or wrong, what you're doing is right or wrong. I'm not taking a side here, but that's your power as a fan, right? Where if you don't like what people are writing or what people are saying on a podcast or whatever, don't click on it. Don't give them your view. And if there's enough people that think like you, and that's your working theory here, they're not going to get clicks. They're not going to get views. They're not going to get listens, and they're not going to keep their job. So, I mean, that's your power as a fan to decide where you give your time to, right? And who you decide to, give your click to and give your view to and give your listening time to. That's your choice. And as a fan, that's all you can do. And people want to cover the team they want to cover. And a lot of times, editors have these writers do certain things that maybe they might not want to do. Other writers have more control. They can write what they want. And that's just the way the ecosystem works, Brandon. Like, no one's going to be... one thing I've learned in life, and I've learned this the hard way, now being a father of 2 kids, you cannot control what other people do.
Right.
All you can control is how you react to what other people do. And that's all you can control.
And ultimately, to your ecosystem model, what makes that whole thing work is consumer appetite. Because that's what determines the sustainability of the product. I mean, that's just business 101.
I hear what you guys are saying, but there's one caveat to what you're saying, and that's this is the only official area. So I listen to you guys. You guys don't beat me every day with negative. You tell me the negative. Sure, you tell me the true. And you tell me and you guys don't really cover too much of the mess. I love that, right? And I get not everybody's going to do that. But when I literally click, and it doesn't matter which person that, if I watch Mike Kafka, and a lot of times they say who, and this is just an example. It's not a person I'm talking about, but like most of these things start with Art Stapleton, right? Because his name starts with A. So like when the second the head coach says that from the podium, that person automatically is higher than a random national reporter that doesn't know anything about this team, because that head coach just answered a question directly from that person. And that's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that it's one or two of those people. I'm telling you, you can go look at all of them, and everything is negative right now. There is no it's been 2 months of losing, and they've been beating me for 2 months. They finally win. I'm thinking, all right, we didn't get the first round pick. Cool. But you know what? It's been a long time since we saw a win, right? Shouldn't we at least a little bit of sell? Can we talk about some of the good? Real quick, I just want to do a quick game with you guys. Real quick. I think there's plenty of good stuff you can write about, right?
Go ahead.
So I just want you guys to answer good, bad, or indifferent. With Brian Burns, good, bad, or indifferent?
Good.
So far this year.
Good.
Jackson Dart, good, bad, or indifferent?
Good.
Jay Illuminar, Andrew Thomas before the injuries.
Good.
Holland.
Neutral. Mixed.
All right. So my point being, though, there's plenty of good stuff that there's there to write about, and instead, as a fan, I'm being beaten with negativity.
Brandon, if I may,
that's my only grievance.
If I may, just to kind of wrap up what you've said,
And thank you for the call, Brandon. We appreciate
it very much. Thank you, and please call again.
Yes.
Simply put, folks, it's the philosophy that I've always used covering this team, no matter what outlet that I was working for. It's just my core philosophy. If your team, sports, is your entertainment, it's something that you enjoy, you want to get involved in emotionally, and it makes you happy and it drives you. To constantly cry over spilled milk is counterproductive. That's just the general philosophy that I've always had. I remember when I was a young kid growing up, and my parents would always say to me, well, instead of always complaining about what's gone wrong, try to think about either some things that have gone right, or what can you do, or what can you see that might make it better. Because if you spend all of your energy just complaining about what went wrong and just sitting in your misery and wallowing in your spilled milk, what have you done?
And we have
except ruin your day.
And we have all been there before, by the way.
Sure.
All of us get into dark areas where we do that.
Sure.
Sometimes. It happens.
So when I got into this profession, I decided that I was going to take my parents' advice, which they taught me as a person, as life advice, is not to soak yourself in the spilled milk. Try to, if you can, look at the glass half full and see what you can do to move things forward, as opposed to just wallowing in the misery all the time.
And I know some fans probably won't believe this, but I do believe this is true. Guys, the Beats would love nothing better than for this team to be good. It is not fun covering a team when they've lost 9 straight games, and you're digging for stories at 2-13 on December 27th. It's not easy. You've been there. It's very hard. It's very hard to find. To me, you want to find interesting stories, right? Like when I do these podcasts, I had Wanda Robinson on. I tried to really dig into the difference for him of playing more outside versus inside.
Sure.
And what the difference was for that, and really the mechanics of it. That's stuff that I find interesting. And I think the more hardcore fans that kind of absorb our content get interested in that sort of stuff. Some of the deeper X's and O stuff. I did the same thing with the tight ends, talking about using the multiple tight ends, Jermaine Illuminor, with Carmen Bursillo. I try to find a couple interesting things and kind of dig into them. And frankly, the way I look at it, I try to learn something every time I do an interview.
Sure.
I'm trying to find out something I don't know that I think is interesting. Because my theory is that if I think it's interesting, there's probably somebody else out there that'll think it's interesting too. And it just gets very hard. And, you mentioned like 5 or 6 players that, are positive stories, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you can't write a story about the same guy every week.
Right.
You eventually run out of, you can write one Jermaine Illuminor feature a year. Your editor's not going to say, well, give me the second Jermaine Illuminor feature. No, you get one. It's week 17. You're going to run out of guys. So again, I'm not saying anybody's doing anything right or wrong. I'm just explaining to you how it can be difficult to continually find interesting stories when you're in the middle of a year that has gone like this. You can do it. It's possible. We try to do it. We try to keep you entertained and keep you informed and give you interesting nuggets over the course of the year. But it's not easy.
Well, and I think, John, what I've tried to communicate to a bunch of our listeners and viewers over the last month or so is that for all of the losing seasons that we have seen in the last decade, and there have been really some nasty ones, right? We all know that. Those have been nasty. The record of this team, despite how bad it is, there are more interesting stories and more good stories to talk about than there have been in other losing seasons.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I agree with that.
And that's been my point. And like, and you know who you are. There's some callers we have who are habitually on the negative. We all know who they are. And I know that there are some people who don't like when I get a little uppity, a little defensive with them, and I kind of try to push them back a little bit. Well, it's because the facts are there have been some good things to digest and to enjoy about this season, despite the record. That's all That's all I've ever tried to make.
Well, one guy, Brandon will be very happy to hear someone that's always positive, is Big Ed in Maryland. He joins us next on Kickoff 5. Big Ed, what's going on, buddy?
How about that?
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Happy New Year, my friend.
Hope
you had a great Christmas, Big Ed. What do you got for us? Let's get to it.
Oh man. Let's see. We ran the ball, we threw the ball, we defended well, we made plays, and Deonte has found his new position. I'm just pleased because I was thinking too the same thing. I was like, we can't get rid of him because we drafted him first. We just have to turn this around some kind of way. And now we found something, and it works. That's great. Guys, I'm feeling like, I know you're talking about the draft, talking about this, talking about that, but I did want to ask this one thing. So we beat Dallas, and the Commanders beat the Eagles. Where does our draft likely spot end up at?
I mean, it all depends on strength of schedule. If the Giants win next week, they could drop as low as 7th,
Correct.
Depending on how these other games go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the lowest.
Yes, 7 is the lowest that they could select in the draft.
Okay, so we're still good.
And again, you're assuming that the Jets, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Browns, and the Commanders all lose in that scenario. If a couple of those teams win, then that will change that equation.
Right. There's a whole domino effect that has to happen.
Correct. And remember, at Big Ed, you never know. Like, there's only really 3 meaningful games next week based on how the standings have gone. So you don't know what good teams are resting guys, who's playing. So you never know, who might win some of these games.
Right. You're right. So I have to ask, where should we go with this head coach? We need a coach that's going to coach this team because we lost 9 games, and we played like 3 games really, really good. Not including that second game against Dallas because we played a great game in that game. Just made mistakes, but we still stuck through it through the end. The thing is, it still comes back to coaching. So I have to ask y'all, who would be, John, you first, who would be your top 3, and then Paul after him? Who would be your top 3 choice?
Big Ed, first of all, I appreciate you not making us just pick one because I think that's useful.
That's not fair.
No, I think that's helpful. No, thank you for that. And I think this week I'm going to start. Well, I got to do some more game review stuff today, but starting tomorrow, I'm doing my deep dive on a lot of the popular head coaching candidates that have been mentioned. So when we get to the end of the year next year, I'm going to be able to hit the ground running on Monday with kind of what I think about all these guys. So this is not final by any means, Ed. This is just me kind of thinking about.
This was fun.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to give. All right. This is how I'll break it down for you. I'm going to break it down into categories, all right? Because I think the guys you're looking for a great offensive coach, a great defensive coach, or a guy that has done it before and can do a good job as a head coach, right? I think those are the kind of the 3 categories and buckets I'm going to put it into. So the 3 names that I'll bring up, and again, I still have to do my deep dive on these guys, is the first bucket, and this is really the only guy in the bucket that has had a head coaching job before and has done a really good job with it. That's Mike McCarthy. So I will put him in that mix as the guy at the top of that bucket. In terms of the best offensive coordinator available, I think you're probably looking at Clint Kubiak out of Seattle. I like the system he comes from. He likes to use big personnel, Paul. He likes to run the football. He likes to go under center. He likes to run play action, and he's done a good job with the Seahawks offense. He might be a little bit too young. I'm not sure if he's ready for it yet, but in terms of what he does and how he runs his offense, I do like that. Number 3 for me would probably be, and this would be my defensive bucket now, right? I think it would probably be Chris Shula from the Rams. Again, not sure he's ready yet, but he runs a very good defense with the Rams. They do a really good job defensively. I like the way he uses his personnel. Just so fans understand, he's not a heavy man guy. He's going to be a lot of zones, Chris Shula, in the way he runs things, but he knows how to put a pass rush together. He's put a lot of good young players on the defensive front. They get after it. And then my guy kind of lingering, and I thought about putting him in there, and I'll give you a 4 just because. How about Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos? He's done a really good job coordinating that defense the last couple of years. He does have former head coach experience, so he would not be a first-time head coach. It didn't go well, but he still was a head coach before. And my understanding is that he's a pretty charismatic guy, and he has done a really good job with that Broncos defense. So those are the 4 names that I would mention. But like I said, Big Ed, that is just me kind of going off the cuff. I'm going to really try to dig deep on those guys this week, and we'll see where we wind up. And we'll see what the Giants end up doing. And I think Halfley from Green Bay will be another name that I would throw out there. Former BC head coach and a guy that has done a good job coordinating the Packers
before
defense.
Before I go, because I know God will call us, we need to make Carl Banks our linebacker coach for the rest of his life.
I'm not sure Carl wants to do it, Big Ed. I think Carl's very happy doing what he's doing.
He doesn't want it.
But he needs to be our linebacker coach. Daggone it. He knows.
All right, Big Ed. Appreciate the call, my friend. Paul, do you want to throw a couple names at me? Or any in addition to the ones that I threw out there?
I will say this. There are a number of guys who I have respect for. Personally, I'm kind of adverse to even talking about this until I know what the pool is. Because, I'll be honest with you, John. And again, I know you felt compelled to answer the question. But one thing I saw on the plane last night, I was coming home, and Baltimore's playing Pittsburgh for a playoff spot coming up this weekend.
Yeah, you don't know who else is going to shake loose on Monday and Tuesday. No, that's absolutely correct.
And the article that I read when I was on the train, Papa and I were sitting on the plane next to each other, and the article, I'm looking at it, and the article was, without any beef, speculating the fact that the loser of that game may be out of a job.
Yeah,
So my problem with going through this exercise, and which is why I won't do it, to be frank, not only do the Giants have a head coach in place at the moment, and I don't kind of like to talk about that while someone is still in the job.
No, but they have to do a search. NFL
they do have to do a
search. Have to do a search.
Okay, but what I'm saying is I don't know what that pool has in it. What fish are in the pool?
And I just want to stress, of the names that I threw out there, I'm going based on what reports have been
and
about
I understand
who the No, I'm just making sure fans are not saying, I'm not reporting who the Giants want to hire.
Right.
I'm not reporting anyone who the Giants have said they want to talk to or whatever. None of that. This is just based off of what the reports have said about who they might be interested in. That's it.
So, when people ask me for my preference, all I'll say to you is, if you want to give me a name, I'll tell you what I think about the guy. Like Lou Anarumo. I'm a big fan of his. I got to know him when he was here as a Giants defensive backs coach. I really like that guy a ton. And would I like to see him get a shot? He interviewed for the Giants head coaching job in the last round.
Yep.
Would I like to see him get a shot? Sure, I would. So I'll give you impressions about names if you want to give me names, but I'm not going to throw names out there as candidates or tell you who I want, because I don't know what the pool is. It's going to change in the next week and a half. Right. It is.
Well, again, that's why I stressed, Paul, that I was just
I know you did, and that's why
I was putting guys in buckets. That's what I was doing.
I'm not disputing anything you said. I understand the angle that you were using when you said that. My angle is I'm withdrawing my opinion at the moment, really. Unless someone wants to say, what do you think about Joe Schmo? And I'll let you know what I think about that guy.
Let's go to Rob in Connecticut. He's up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Rob, what's going on?
Hey, P-Dot and John, how's it going today?
We're good. What do you got?
Hey.
Hey, not too much. By the way, I'm really looking forward to you and Tony Pauline's analysis after the year. I really look forward to that, as I did last year. and good times is coming. Let's see here. So, Abdul Carter, I was really wrong about him. I called up a few weeks ago, and I compared him to Isaiah Simmons. I was really wrong about him, and I'm glad about that. So, with that said, yesterday's win, I'm just glad that I don't think we're going to hear about that ridiculous notion that we should look at Fernando Mendoza as a quarterback for last year. John, what's your opinion on Fernando Mendoza anyway? I'm not even convinced he's the second-best quarterback coming out. What do you think, guys?
Yeah. To me, there is – if we were heading into a draft here, Paul, where you had a, like, Andrew Luck or Joe Burrow or John Elway level of quarterback at the top of the draft, whenever a guy like that's around,
right,
you have to have a conversation about selecting him. You have to. You have no choice.
Yeah.
It's your obligation as a franchise to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I would not, Rob, put anyone in this quarterback class in that conversation. I would put them more into the bucket of kind of guys we had last year, into that, Cam Wardish type of area. Go back the year before that in that, second group, not in the Drake May category, not in the Jaden Daniels category, not in the Caleb Williams, in that next group down. So that to me is why I would not really think about a quarterback this year, because I think Jackson Dart has just as much physical talent as those other guys.
Reese?
I think Arvo Reese is a very good player. The question is, how do you want to use him, right? He's been used as an off-ball linebacker at Ohio State. He's very good at that. He rushes a little bit off the edge. He does a lot of blitzing. But, do you want to pick an off-ball linebacker with a top 5 pick? I mean, when's the last time an off-ball linebacker was selected with a top 5 pick?
No.
It just does not happen anymore. So this is why, Rob, this draft class is so interesting. The best players are at safety, running back, and linebacker. Like, these are not...
Right, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say Kyle, and I'm sorry to interrupt. Kyle Hamilton is really good. So, I mean, if you could do Gibbs's backsies, I guess we would take Kyle Hamilton over a couple of the other players, correct? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, but I think that was the year the Giants were picking. That's when they picked, if I'm not mistaken.
When the Ravens took Hamilton?
Yeah, that was the year the Giants they moved up ahead of them to draft Deonte Smith.
Yeah.
Correct? And they ended up trading back for Kadarius Toney?
Yes.
That was that year?
Oh, Kadarius Toney. Oh, my God. I was in a good mood before you.
Yeah, well, that'll ruin
Toney.
your day real quickly.
Him.
I think one of these things that John mentioned earlier when he said, who was the consensus number one quarterback this time last year, and all we heard about was Shedeur Sanders, right?
Oh no, I take that back. That was the Neal and Thibodeau draft.
Okay.
Which, by the way, you're not taking a safety over a guy that could be a starting left tackle or a starting edge rusher.
That'd be
you're just
insane.
Not.
Insane.
Yeah.
But to John's
Look,
point
about
how
Evan Neal I'm sorry.
No,
in the beginning of the season, the year Evan Neal was drafted, they were talking about him before that season even began. That's all you heard about was Alabama, Evan Neal, Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Evan
Rob,
Neal.
you go even later. When Paul and I went to the Combine that year, Neal was mentioned by a lot of people as a likely top overall pick in the draft.
It was absolutely the word around the Indianapolis. No question.
No, he was dinner table discussion for draft picks.
No doubt.
He really was.
And to be honest, and look, I'm not picking on the guy, but we talk about how these names sometimes get incredibly jumbled over the course of those 3 and 4 months, and then a year later you wonder why were you even talking about him? Jalen Milroe. There were some people going in before we went to the Combine, John.
And thank you for the call, Rob. Appreciate it.
There were some people who were like, oh, he's got to be a first-round pick. Oh, you just got to get him in the right system. He's going to be easily one of the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft. You just got to, as long as you got the right system, boy, Jalen Milroe is going to be great. And there were people who swore by that. And then there were other people who said, no. This guy at best could be a backup quarterback. And then there were some others who were like, no, he's not going to make it in this league. He's not good. No, he's not. And the varied opinions on him were all over the map.
Yeah.
And how's that work out a year later?
I mean, he's a backup right now.
He's a
he
backup.
Hasn't had a chance to play.
Hasn't had a chance to play, so we still don't know. But we've seen some other rookie quarterbacks who had chances and certainly have shown that they could do maybe a lot more than a lot of people thought.
Yeah. Look, the draft is an inexact science, man.
It's like the stock market. Seriously.
You do your best work. You pick the players the best you can. Sometimes the stock goes up. Sometimes the stock goes down. It's the way it is. You're absolutely right. All right, Johnny Mac, let's go to Marcus in California. He's up next. What's up, Marcus?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
Nothing. Just hanging out in Cancun. Decided to come here a couple days earlier instead of going to the Vegas game.
Oh, I'm jealous, Marcus.
I know, man. I don't know. I did get to watch the game though, so it was good. I'm glad we won, man. I'm glad the Mendoza talk got put to bed. I was going to call last week, but John, you and Sean put that to bed, but it's still, everywhere. I do think Jackson goes to the guy. I think we'll be okay if we can get one of those 3 kids from Ohio State. It's, nobody gets to dictate who the best players in the draft are.
Marcus, who are you looking for? You're talking about Tate? Order. Are you talking about Tate, Styles, or Downs? Or are you talking about Reese?
Reese Downs or Tate.
Reese Downs or Tate. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't care if you take him number 2, 3, or 4 overall, man. You just got to take the best player. Even Notre Dame looks pretty good. But as far as that head coaching search, in my view, I think I just want if we're going to take a coordinator and not a, already older or proven head coach, I don't think I want, an offensive coordinator from a team who's an offensive-minded head coach, right? Because Sean McVay calls the plays in L.A., and I just don't want, a coordinator from a team I'm not blasting Mike Kafka. I don't like what happened with Dable and everything, but
if you want to hire Marcus, let me summarize it. If you want to hire an offensive coordinator, you want an offensive coordinator that runs the offense and calls the plays.
Yeah, I don't want someone from Andy Reid's team and then he's going to change the thing. No, Andy Reid is the reason the offense is good.
No, I got it. That makes sense.
Right. The reason.
That makes sense. I got you.
Mine.
Yep.
And so, leaning a little bit, I like Skaggs and I do like Salem, man. They just got to get the right coordinators, and if they do. But a lot of optimism for next year, man. Let's just keep building, dude, and do this thing right. Let's beat the Cowboys. And I can't believe people who wanted us to get the number 1 overall pick were going to root for the Cowboys next week. That just blows my mind, dude. Let's go win, man, and change the culture, and let's do it, man.
I like the point you just made a moment ago, though, and I don't want to let that just gloss over. As much as people want to ask about the head coach, quite frankly, folks, the coordinator selections and the offensive line coach are going to be absolutely huge.
Well, the first question you ask every coach that walks in the door is, what's your plan for Jackson Dart?
And who are you bringing in on your staff?
Of course. Yeah, coordinators are hugely important.
And, that's one thing that when everybody, whether it's fans, media, bloggers, or even here, hosts, anybody at the end of the season, when the palette is open and we know the pool of coaches that are available, let's make something very clear. None of us know, especially if the guy is not a previous NFL head coach, none of us have any idea what he wants to do with his staff. None of us. No matter how good some of these terrific coordinators are, and they're being mentioned all over Las Vegas about this guy's got the best shot to be this head coach for this team, blah, blah, blah. Who are their coordinators going to be? Right. What if one of these supposed hotshot candidates is the lead candidate for your job, and then all of a sudden you find out he hires a staff that is much less to be desired? All of a sudden, he wasn't a great pick, was he?
No, you're absolutely right. All right, let's wrap things up, Paul. Len in Columbia, Maryland. Len, what's going on, bud? Happy New Year.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing great.
Hey, Paul, quick apology. In our conversation, I re-listened to our conversation from last Friday.
Yeah.
And I recognize that I was talking over you an awful lot during that conversation.
No, don't worry about it.
And I want to I want to apologize
it's
for it.
It's okay. We're all good.
Okay, good. Okay, listen, never apologize for a win. I'll take it. And I want another one next Sunday. And we did a nice job. My only, I like what Dart did. I know we talked about this on Friday, Paul. I like what Dart did. I almost nailed the numbers. I think I was talking about some of those came pretty close to what I wanted to see from him. The 2 TDs and 65% passing. I know he was over that.
73%, which was his season high so far.
Yeah. Good outing, And if anything, we're going to end on a positive note here with Dart, and
you hope so.
That'll quiet some people down, And, in the same with the wins, and I think for the organization itself, geez, we had to get rid of those 2 streaks. Oh, my God, 9 games, losing 9 games in a row. In some ways, that's hard to do.
Hey, Len, but by the way, Len, just real quick, I didn't give this stat last week because I thought it was depressing, but I'll give it now. First time in Giants history, they had consecutive seasons with at least a 9-game losing streak. That's 100 years of history.
Yeah.
First time. Not great.
Yeah. Thank God we didn't get to 10.
Yeah.
And then the road record, the 13 in a row on the road. So, I mean, we had to get rid of those streaks going in and try to put together some sort of positive feeling, throughout the organization, top to bottom. It's been a tough year. Look, I'm still in season mode. 4 o'clock next Sunday, I'll start my transition. So I want to talk a little bit about some nuances in yesterday's game and try to get some answers from you guys, too. I couldn't pick it up from watching it on TV, just to try to get some answers from you as to what was going on. The kickoff after the opening TD, John, I don't know if you noticed, but the network came back and they overextended their time, and we didn't really see the kickoff after that first TD, Paulie.
Okay.
And there was something, they got the ball on the 42-yard line. The Raiders got the ball on the 42. And
it was a
like
28-yard return.
An onside kick or something?
It was a 28-yard return, and Flanagan Fowles made the tackle, and it brought the ball out to the 41.
Yeah, but 28-yard. Well, so the ball got all. In other words, you're telling me it got all the way down to the 13.
Yeah.
On the kick.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Let me give you another one here. Geez, the Holland injury. Holland covering kickoffs.
It doesn't sound like, luckily, that's serious.
What do you think?
Lennox Kafka said this today. He doesn't think it appears to be super long-term and serious. He hasn't talked to the doctors yet.
Good.
I think the problem you ran into with Holland on kickoffs is that they've had so many other injuries in the secondary that they were really getting down to it where you had to put him out there. But honestly, when I saw that, my first reaction was boy, I'm surprised he's out there covering kicks.
Right.
But my guess it's because of all the injuries.
It got me to the point when the game was over. I started running down names of people who I thought could be out there, and many of them may have obviously been ready. You only need 10 other than the kicker. But I came up with about 13 or 14 names before I could get to Holland as to who you would put out there. I don't want to go over the names. That's not important. But I was just a little taken aback by Holland being out there for a kick return this late in the season, etc. The penalty, Paulie, you were there. No, the penalty after the Banks wonderful kickoff return.
Right.
What a move on his part to cut back, and man, he showed some speed on that return too.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of nice. Paul, there was a penalty there.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah, but it wasn't on the players. Was somebody jump out of the stands or something? It got in the celebration. I think the referee called it a non-participant. It wasn't a player.
Yeah, in the box, I don't know what obviously on TV they weren't very explanatory either.
No.
In the box,
no, they weren't.
We were not given any specifics.
Okay.
It only says on the play-by-play sheet, the official game book, says New York Giants unsportsmanlike conduct, 15 yards, and it does not, even on the official NFL play-by-play, it does not specify what went down.
Yeah, because one of the announcers insinuated that it was a non-player. Kind of
Don't
weird.
know.
But okay, let me move on to another one and see if this is the only thing. And it may sound like I'm being picky here, guys, but this is part of this whole thing about Dart. You're going to think I'm crazy when I go to this point, but bear with me. The 3 kneel downs at the end. You got any memories of that, by the way, or am I just...
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this, Len. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The kneel downs, what was that? It looked like Dart was trying to move forward on the kneel down, And by the time he got to the third one, the Raiders took offense at.
He didn't want to look like he didn't want to lose rushing yards on the kneel down. So when he kneeled, he tried to kneel stepping forward, so he wouldn't lose yards. It was
bizarre, John.
I thought it was a little weird too, to be honest with you.
Oh my goodness!
I'll go back and look at that, Len.
Hurt doing that. I mean, that's kind of a. You tell the other team, I'm kneeling down. Don't kneel down with your foot forward. Just kneel.
Len, I'll say this. That never came up during the locker room interviews, and at that point I was on the sideline and did not get a good look at that.
Well, and I think there's a good chance probably all the writers are starting to go downstairs
probably
too.
too.
They might not have seen it.
That's also possible too. I'll go back and I'll look at it, and
I'll bring it up for you right here, Paul. Hold on.
And maybe we can even ask him about it.
They can teach him. Maybe he hasn't had many opportunities to kneel down after a victory, but I'm sure they'll take care of that. But it just looked kind of weird, and it looked like the Raiders took offense a little bit on the third one. And
okay, I see what you mean.
I can understand that. But my only slight disappointment yesterday, we talk about dependability and we talk about availability. There were just some guys I wanted to see finish the season. I mean, I wanted to see John Michael finish the season. I wanted to see Flott finish. I wanted to see Newman finish. I know injuries are part of the game. Even Andrew, I was just, after all he's been through, I just kind of wanted those guys to kind of
Len, all seriousness, Len, those are legit injuries. Like,
not
those
that
guys.
They're not showing dependability. Don't get me wrong.
No, but Len, here's the thing.
The optic.
Len, I totally get what you're saying. Those were legit injuries. Like, it's not like those guys were able to play and they just shut them down. They were unable to play.
I get that, but what I'm saying is I wish they weren't in that situation.
Of course, us too.
Had been able to kind of just show. It's all about, to me, I'm really talking about the optic of these guys showing that they can actually, Newman and Flott particularly can finish a season. And even John. Now maybe Johnson will play this week. I don't know. He had an illness or something, but you just want to see these guys kind of finish it out.
No, I'm with you.
On a positive note.
Thank you, Len.
Thanks for taking my call. Go Giants. Let's beat the Cowboys. Come on.
Appreciate it, Len. Happy New Year, my friend. Always a pleasure. So you saw on that play how he was kind of like trying to kneel into the line?
John just called those 3 kneel downs up on the computer so I could get a look.
And Len's right. The Raiders did not look pleased on the last one.
No, and honestly, I wish I had seen it yesterday, because I certainly, if not on camera, I certainly would have gone up to Dart afterwards and said, I'm not sure what you were doing on those kneel downs, because it looked like he was trying to get kneel downs for no loss of yardage.
Correct.
In other words, so you see kneel downs usually are at least -1, sometimes -2, right? It looked like he was just trying to, no gain, and just have like 0 loss. I don't know why he would do that on 3 straight plays. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Not so silly.
I think so.
Yeah. But anyway, in the big picture, not a big deal.
So now I actually have a question to ask him this week.
Yes.
When I see him.
We do. Paul, good stuff, my friend.
Yeah, John, it was certainly a little bit of a different conversation today than what we've had in the recent weeks.
Yeah, well, we're getting to the end. We only got one more game to go, and then we'll have the coaches search starting next week.
And I'll have to start cracking down on, as I always do. It's a cramming session, getting ready for the combine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that starts too. It's tough with the coach, but of course it's weird too. Like I'm gonna try to get a lot of the top 10 guys done this week, and then I have to start focusing on Senior Bowl because I got to go there first. So I got to watch as many Senior Bowl guys as I can.
Actually, I'm glad that I don't travel for that because I need the time to cram.
So I have to watch as many Senior Bowl guys as I can. Then I'll go back to the top of the list, and I'll hit. Senior Bowl's got a really nice list, really nice group this year, though. They got some really nice players coming. Yeah, it's not the whole list, but I got a lot of them. The guys have accepted invites. It should be a really good group this year. Paul, good stuff, my friend.
All right, let's do it.
Tomorrow, I believe it is me and Casillas on Big Blue Kickoff Live. It's all presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. Will be here once again in the Hackensack Meridian Health Podcast Studio. Keep getting better. And folks, don't forget, I should have reminded this to you a little bit earlier in the show. I did not. But make sure you go check out the Giants Huddle podcast. You can find it on all your podcast platforms. Make sure you check it out It's a lot of fun and a lot of good stuff to check out. Draft season will come again this week as well. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I am John Schmeelk. We'll talk to you next time on Big Blue Kickoff Live tomorrow at 12:30. Until then, adios.